Hey everybody, welcome back inside the State Champs Sports Network Studios, episode number 7 of State Champs Hang Time for the winter basketball season. Lauren Plant, TJ Kelly, Scoop IPS himself. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. Wonderful weather, great basketball. It's time to grow the beard out, playoff season.
There you go, playoff beards. Time to get them out. Well, let's talk about some league championships first as we get into our paint pontifications. Well, in the Catholic League, because of the addition of Jackson Lumen Christi and the 5 Toledo-based schools, there was a need for 3 divisions now for the Catholic Championship. So just want to give a couple shout-outs, before we get into the main event. Clarkston Everest Collegiate winning their first Catholic League crown in the St. Anne's division. They beat Waterford Our Lady of the Lakes 49-29, 14 seasons as a program, first league championship, and to do it at a big venue like Callahan Hall, that's pretty cool. Good job, fellas. Riverview Gabriel Richard made it 4 titles in 5 years in the Cardinal division, taking care of Jackson Lumen Christi 54-48. Lumen Christi actually the only league team that beat Riverview GR during the regular season. But again, quite a program there for the Pioneers.
Oh, they're doing a fantastic job. Remember a couple of years ago, they wound up making a trip even to the Breslin Center.
That's right.
And so you got to see a lot of the guys who were freshmen and sophomores then, who are now juniors and seniors. And I think that they're primed for a great Division III run. They have the experience this year, and they have the experience. They have the size. Coach Diak's doing a fantastic job there, and I think that they're living up to expectations this year. And hats off to Josh Trope, the head coach over at Jackson Lumen Christi, who's had a phenomenal season as well.
Then, of course, it was the big matchup, the main event, the marquee signature game, Orchard Lake St. Mary's, as you so accurately predicted, beating Brother Rice 58-55 for the Bishop Championship. This went down to the wire. Credit the junior Sherrod Barnes from Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Some clutch free throws, great defense to seal it for the Eaglets.
Well, I think Barnes is known for his defense, arguably the top on-ball defender in the state. He's really stepped it up offensively, by making the free throws when it mattered. I mean, he also hit some clutch threes, and I thought that was obviously a turning point in the game. They were getting close at that fourth quarter, and I was glad to see Warren Marshall step up, as a senior. But hey, we'll see how there's still a big tournament to be played here in just a moment. But we're gonna. I think the Catholic League lived up to everything that we talked about earlier this season.
And we talked about just last week. We said Orchard Lake expected to win. They're just going to keep moving on. Brother Rice, if they could have won, could have been a huge momentum game. But keeping it close as they did, being there right at the end. Do you believe that gives them momentum now moving forward?
In some cases, I think it's also, you lose 3 times to the same team.
Right.
But the thing is, they weren't the double-digit losses like they were earlier in the season. And not only that, you're talking about being on the main stage. Hey, we're just trying to make sure that we're ready for, try to make a run at the Breslin Center. And, there's a chance that we can see 2 Catholic League teams at the Breslin Center in the Division I semifinal. And so, Orchard Lake St. Mary's took care of business. Trey McKinney, he does so much more than scoring. And if you really go out and watch that entire game, you can really see that. But it's great to see Sherrod Barnes and others step up.
Yep. All right, let's go to the PSL title tilt. Cass Tech gunning for 2 in a row. Wasn't easy either. Credit Detroit Renaissance for overcoming an 18-point deficit in the fourth quarter to make it a game. Cass would hold on to win 72-70. The late stretch, Lance Stone for the Phoenix playing really well, as of course Corey Sadler Jr., the football phenom, making his presence felt. Big plays in a game that went down to the wire.
I tell you what, that was the game that I think a lot of people were looking for. John White wound up picking up a technical early in the first quarter. A couple made free throws there, a turnover there, and, Renaissance could wind up winning this game. I think that it's huge for Renaissance just because last week when we were talking, they're young.
Yeah.
Now you get to learn from some of those mistakes. Lance Stone obviously stepping up, Mr. PSL in 2024. Shout out to him for stepping up. Jordan Sigmund did a fantastic job, just being able to score the ball. Jordan Sigmund. He's going to go get his buckets. But, hats off to Steve Hall. Hats off to his son, freshman, Steve Hall Jr.
Yeah.
He's really stepped up, and we're going to be talking about him in the next few years. I imagine I don't see him leaving, but
Right,
But anyways, they've got some seniors, Johnson and Miller, who have been doing it all year. I thought Johnson did a great job of cleaning up the boards and also playing above the rim, and that was really that was the difference, because Renaissance really doesn't have that 6'5", 6'6" guy to really block out some of those guys and box them out and help on the boards.
Yep. Congratulations to the technicians for the sweet repeat. All right, the final regular season showdown between the 114-year-old rivalry between Saginaw and Saginaw Arthur Hill came to a close. Lumberjacks taking care of the high. This game played at the Dow Event Center, and it was a guy named Boop who put on a show. 84-52 the final. He was 2 assists short of a triple-double.
And that's what you have to do in these big-time games. You're talking about the last game. That's something that everybody's going to be talking about. And you come, close to having nearing a triple-double.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of those things like, hey, don't worry about paying for lunch or dinner or whatever, for the next few years. At least for Lumberjack fans. I don't know, the Trojans, they're probably going to be on the other side of that, that pill. But, hats off to
you get charged double.
Right. Yeah, depending on what side of town you're on.
Yeah.
And I believe there's I'm trying to think of the chicken place that's right across the street from Arthur Hill. I remember when they opened and the line was very, very long. And Coach McMath was like, man, it's been like this for the last week. So,
we could do a whole show on spots to eat throughout the state of Michigan.
right.
With
and then I'll also say another thing with the rivalry is it was great to see so many people.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking over my timeline, and it was a who's who of people that were, and at the end of the day, they're rivals, but they're also brothers and sisters, and that's a wonderful thing and makes competition great. Hey, we can do this and do that. We're going to love each other at the end of everything.
Yeah, exactly. It was very fitting, and it was great to see the amount of stars that showed up.
Well, I appreciate the city of Saginaw, because not only was I raised by my parents and my family, but I was raised by the community of Saginaw. And so that's why I always came back and gave back to the city of Saginaw, because they helped me become who I am today. And a lot of guys that was on my team who not necessarily got the credit, wasn't a highly rated player. Without them, you can't play football by yourself. So you got to give credit to your teammates and the coaches and everybody, man. It means a lot to me. And coming back, being able to see everybody, see people that rooted for you and the people that I used to root for. Looking at the Jason Richardson here and the DeAndre Hewletts and Anthony Robersons, Ron Stanleys. You got all of these guys that's here. It's great to see them, and it's great for our current Trojans and Lumberjacks to see us as well.
No Draymond Green, but other than that, a who's who of former Saginaw and Arthur Hill players there on hand, all showing love. All right, let's get to our rankings rationale. We've got a couple of teams we want to talk about. West Bloomfield making some noise in Oakland County. You have them jump from 22 up to 13.
Well, Arnett, I've talked about Arnett Jordan earlier in the year. He's this is his third year at West Bloomfield. First year, it's kind of slow out of the gate. Didn't, let's say they have this success, and maybe, let's say this is a rebuilding of a program. Sophomore year or his second year, there was some improvements. He wound up stepping up and going to the OAA Red. And he wanted to finish in second. We've talked many times in the past about how strong the OAA Red is. They're not as strong as, let's say this, in past years.
Right.
Let's say this. They've had Division I and Division II state champions in the last 6 years.
Right.
And so, that's one of those things where I kind of put that into perspective as far as where West Bloomfield had to get bumped up. I think that beating North Farmington at home was huge. North Farmington, they kind of woke up, and let's say this, they had their loss against West Bloomfield, but after that, they've really been taking care of business just to let people know that they're for real.
Yeah, exactly. And how about Grosse Pointe South into the top 25 at 23 here in the late stages of the regular season?
I tell you what, hand down, man down. Coach Bernard has one of the best shooting teams in the state. Torrey James, also along with Richards, who's going up to Lake Superior State. They can shoot it with anybody in the state, and it's great to see Grosse Pointe South go out there and pull it off against a really tough Warren Lincoln team who's beat some of the top teams in the state. And I thought that, hey, just due given, they should be in that top 25. So hats off to the Blue Devils.
That's right, the Blue Devils in. All right, let's get to our Future Forward forecast. This is where we just want to kind of preview a couple of games coming up we think are of note here in and around the state of Michigan. Operation Friendship, always a great battle. This is where the Catholic League champion takes on the Detroit Public School League champion. This year, Cass Tech taking on Orchard Lake St. Mary's, number 13 versus number 1. How do you see this playing out?
It's going to be Cass Tech has been there playing for the championship. Last year, Cass Tech wound up losing to Brother Rice. Brother Rice playing in let's say the early game, let me put it like that, against Detroit Renaissance. I think Orchard Lake St. Mary's, again, takes care of business. They just have so much horsepower as far as every position. And not only that, you've got guys that are coming off the bench who are going to go play in college, who are really accepted their roles. And, maybe taking a step back, from as a sophomore or junior and then a senior, hey, we've got to let these other guys play. We need you to come off the bench, and we're going to go win some games. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that Todd Covert, the head coach over at Orchard Lake St. Mary's, has been able to do this year, and just making sure that everybody's filling their role. And when teams are doing that, when players are doing that, they're tough to beat.
We needed a game like this. We were able to make some free throws down the stretch and get some big rebounds. Credit to them. They didn't go away. They hit some, maybe 3 threes in the last minute, and credit to them.
And this is a critical game because you're obviously matched up with another high-powered team coming off a championship. Both of you are. But it also gives you an opportunity. Let's show our depth. Let's get some guys into the games that may have to step up in the playoffs. This is basically, in essence, the first game of the playoffs, but no matter win or lose, you get a mulligan. You're still going on. But it gives you an opportunity to kind of see where you're at, maybe see where you are 6, 7, 8 deep.
Yeah, well, Cass Tech can go deep. I think if Cass Tech is to win this game, they're going to have to. I think that they're going to have to force 20 turnovers, at least over 15 turnovers, and they're going to have to keep their turnovers maybe to 6 or 7. They're going to need Johnson to step up big time on the boards. Yeah. When you're going against Savory, when you're going against some of the other bigs that the Orchard Lake St. Mary's has. But yeah, taking care of the ball. And obviously Steve Hall knows that as the head coach. So let's see if they can do that and muster out a victory. Otherwise, Orchard Lake St. Mary's is going to take care of business.
Yeah, well, we shall see. That's why they play the game. All right, last thing on the agenda today, Flint Powers Catholic has a big game against number 20 Saginaw Heritage. How do you see that one playing out?
I really like this matchup. Heritage has seniors on this team. Obviously, you have Tyler Rohde, who's going to go play down in Toledo. Flint Powers is going to be one of the top teams. They're already a top 10 team in Class B or Division 1, Division 2 right now.
Division 2.
But moving on to next year, I think that they would have to be up there as one of the favorites to win, them and Warren Lincoln for Division 2. And let's see, again, if that younger team can muster up the energy, muster up the experience to really get things done and take care of, a tough Saginaw Heritage team who's been in the top 25 the entire season. So, hey, but hats off to them for even scheduling this game late in the season. And I'd like to give a shout out to the powers that be. They wound up giving a couple extra games to these guys, expanding to 22, which allows for great games like this. So hats off to them, and hats off to guys that are making the decisions that say, hey, we need some tough matchups, be prepping us to go into the playoffs. So
you see what he did there? The powers that be, Flint Powers is who we're talking about. Of
Smooth.
course, that's how he does it. And you know what? We love mustering up this particular program for you each and every week. So hopefully you guys are getting a kick out of it. We love talking basketball. Let us know games you think we should be covering. Talk about, maybe you want to comment on some of the big playoff matches. We don't mind doing a mailbag if you want to reach out and talk and have us talk about your team here on Hang Time. Let us know on all the socials. Slide into the DMs, whatever you need to do. It's all good. But that's it for this week's edition of Hang Time. We'll see you next week.
State Champs Hang Time is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. Hang Time is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, proud partner of the MHSAA. And the Detroit Athletic Club Foundation Athlete of the Year Award applications now being accepted until March 31st, 2024 for the male and female athletes of the year. Download the application today at dacathleteoftheyear.com. You cannot be nominated if you don't apply.